Good afternoon and welcome to Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. I am trying to do bits and pieces here and there. I'll try and do some broadcasts in between as much as I can. Still managing how things are. What you're looking at is the person in the video here is Julius Malema from South Africa of the EFF. Economic Freedom Fighter, I think it is, EFF. I think it is. That's what it is. So the thing to really look at there is this. What is said here is absolutely right. I want us to listen to his words. Now, he is clearly not for mourning, for those who mourned the Queen. And that is, as an African. And here, listen to his reasoning and his reasons as to why. And there is quite a lot of valid points that he's made here. I personally have said that people who are Caucasian Europeans who want to mourn her, and that's the story to know about her is what they will go by. I mean, unless they go and dig and find out the truths that is being uncovered by so many, including myself and of course Julius Malema. So those who wish to mourn her, who are Europeans, fine. That's their prerogative, and now the Africans. If you are mourning, I don't know if you fully understand what the monarchy has done to us as Africans. And when you understand that, you would have come to a different conclusion about that. So let's go into the video and listen to him. Then I'll come back and talk about a few things. Let's listen to him.
To leave this mic without saying to Britain and everybody else who care, we do not mourn the death of a colonizer and a murderer who came and killed our people, and she's wearing proudly a stolen coat on her head. We have nothing to do with the Queen. Renaka spedi but ba rubuleli slaga bona mara wena o kele kodu lele bolaileng batho ba rena ba utswa di minerale tsa mo Africa, ba utswa di minerale tsa all over Africa. Today people tweet, hey we mourn the Queen. But when Helen Zille tweeted and said that not everything is bad about colonialism, you all said Helen Zille is a racist. How can she praise colonialism? By mourning and praising the Queen, you are celebrating colonialism. You are not different from Helen Zille. We were not colonized by the land called Britain. We were colonized by the leadership of Britain that killed our people. So we must not be asked to do wrong things here. We are very clear. The Queen does not represent anything good. Britain has got a lot of gold, yet they don't have a single mine of gold. Those are stolen goods. We must talk about reparation. We must talk about the return of the gold. We must talk about the return of the stolen diamond, and not these other side issues which are not important to us. How can you be oppressed for so many years? After liberation, you've got nothing to show that we have been liberated. You have no land, you have got no bank, you've got no mine. The only thing you have is a hatred of other Africans. It was this Queen who gave us surnames, by the way. This Britain, we did not have surnames. We were calling each other Kadireto Jarina. The surnames and the addresses, we did not have an address because they move up from year to year according to the season. So today we are given address we are given borders, we are given surnames, because we must be controlled by a certain nation which we must celebrate. We, as black people, everywhere else we are one thing. You said you don't want the people of Zambia, you don't want the people of Zimbabwe, you don't want the people of Swaziland. When we're putting the king of the Zulus, there were Zulus from Zambia, there were Zulus from Zimbabwe, there were Zulus from Malawi. But you are beating up a Malawian and saying we don't want Malawian. You even speak in Zulu that you don't want Malawians. You don't know that person is a Zulu like you who left here during those years to go and settle that side. The coronation of the king should have actually educated all of us that indeed we are one thing, because there is Mpofu in Zimbabwe, there is Mpofu in Eastern Cape, there is Mpofu in Parliament now, as we speak, representing public protector. So which Mpofu you don't want? Because all these Mpofus are one thing, they are Mpofus. So we are one thing as the continent, and we must embrace each other and
Absolutely. I agree totally 100% with the sentiments of Julius Malema, the EFF leader in South Africa. He's the one person that all of us as Africans should really work with. I don't say this lightly. The history, when I found out, we need to know our history as Africans. Take, for example, I went to look at my history, and before you say you want to, like I said, every European can, and they must mourn their queen. But she's not my queen. I have a king that's been deliberately silenced. My culture, the rights of my ancestors to their land has been severed by the monarchy and the government that is behind it as well. All of this, so they severed our link between our king and our land. Now our kings in Nigeria are nothing more than ceremonial, and they've taken away our resources. They've taken away our art form. Go into the museum, you will see our art forms that's been looted, and they're earning money from this. And they're telling us to bow. And when we talk about reparations, they say, "Oh no, we can't talk about that," and they won't even say sorry. But they want us to have to mourn the very people who left us in a situation where we are oppressed and suppressed in our own land. Where, as we speak, Yoruba Nation, we are agitating strongly for Yoruba Nation and Biafra Nation because of the imposition of Nigeria, which they've somehow fooled some of the so-called leaders in those areas to believe in something that they did not create, so that the colonials can continue to extract our resources. The crown on one of the scepter that she's holding, it's a 500 million pound diamond that was stolen from South Africa, and the South Africa, you heard him say they want it back. So I'm saying all of this because we need to be very, very clear about what we are mourning for. We need to know our history. I want to, at this point, ask every African, do you know the king of your kingdom prior to colonization? Do you know the name of your... Let me give you an example. I'll give you an example. Here is my king in Yoruba land. This was the king at the time when they took over the land at the Berlin Conference. They had a conference. They made a treaty among themselves to divide the land of our ancestors. To divide the land of our ancestors. Our king at the time was Oba Adeyemi Alowolodo. Oba Adeyemi I Alowolodo. He was the last independent king and true sovereign in Yoruba land. They made him to sign a treaty. They forced him to sign a treaty, a one-way treaty. That treaty was in an imposition on the king that everything that Britain want they would get. If they didn't, he would lose his position. They did not declare it to him until after they signed it. Then they came in forcefully with guns for him to comply with them that they must rule over him. Same thing with the Benin Kingdom. They destroyed the Benin Kingdom. Many of the artifacts you will see in the museum in Britain today, and they don't want to return it. They returned some, but quite a lot are still held. And you hear one of the ministers in one of the videos I'll play later on talking about, it is theirs. It is, they can come to an arrangement from the people that they stole from. And these are the same people who are asking us to mourn for a queen that is overseen, that is not saying, not on my watch. This belongs to the people in those areas. They must be returned. No ifs, no buts. But instead, she actually wears it as pride, as a spoils of war against the people that you are now asking us to bow. We're not your slaves, and I would not bow to that. I cannot bow to that. Yes, sure, as a human being, yes, feelings, but where are the feelings of our ancestors? Millions. The monarch, the royal family had a Royal African Company that had they enslaved the largest number of slaves in the entire world. They were the ones doing it. John Hawkins was the man that was working with them, if I remember correctly. They carried out the largest export of Africans as slaves. Why are we going to, and that's she's a direct descendant of these people, and her policies. Look at what happened to the Mama in Kenya. They were put in concentration camps, killed, maimed. Look, there's something called, where is it now? Let me see if I can find. Let me show you. I want to read something to you, because sometimes when we say this, people don't want to believe us. They think we're exaggerating things. And I'm going to just show you this, and I'll come and probably read it to you. I want you to look at this word. So this king, just to go back to him, I want each and every African watching this, go and find out the name of your king in 1884. We need to remember every single king of the kingdoms that were in existence on the African soil in 1884. We have to remember their names. We have to honor them. We have to start remembering. That is where our history, that is where they try to end and end our history. And we will continue the link from that point to carry on with a great legacy for the coming generation. That is why I'm saying to you as an African, you cannot, now finding out this, continue to say you're supporting something that has oppressed your ancestors and is continuing to oppress us, and will no doubt oppress our coming generations unless we take action to free Africa. So this is much deeper than just saying, you see, it's a symbol. Many people don't realize. A lot of the Africans who are saying, and doing the other, they are going to be plastered all over the news to give the impression that many of us buy into this idea of mourning for somebody, for our oppressors. And we cannot do that. This is not about hate. This is about reality. If we want to change the future of the coming generation, they need to know what the Queen and the monarchy did and what they are benefiting from as a result. They are benefiting from those actions and what they continue to do. The Queen still owned, the late Queen owned Canada, the whole of Canada. The Aboriginal people, the indigenous people there don't own it. And now that's obviously passed on down to the new king. So we need to be very, very aware. And the symbolism of us, sort of mourning those people, that's Stockholm Syndrome. That is Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome. So may his soul rest in peace. We need to remember all the kings in that period, in the 1884-85, all the kings. We need to remember all the African kings in the kingdoms. And we need to start celebrating them yearly, I would suggest. And what do you all think about that? Right. Okay. Now let me do this. I want to do something here. I want you to read at something. Operation Legacy. Listen to the words of. So when you're supporting this, I want you to look at this. Operation Legacy. This is probably going to be a topic that will come over and over. Operation Legacy. Okay. Now look at this now. So now we're going into it. Listen. Operation Legacy was a British colonial office, later Foreign Office program, to destroy or hide files to prevent them being inherited by ex-colonies. It ran from the 1950s until 1970s, when the decolonization of British Empire was at its height. M15, MI5, or special branch agents vetted all secret documents in the colonial administrations to find those that could embarrass the British government, for instance, by showing racial or religious bias. They identified 8,800 to conceal from at least 23 countries and the territories in the 1950s and 1960s, and destroy them or send them back to the United Kingdom. Precise instructions were given for methods to be used for destruction, including burning and dumping at sea. Some of the files detailed torture methods used against opponents of the colonial administrations, such as during the Mau Mau uprising. What did I talk about? Let me show you the picture of the Mau Mau uprising. See? So Mau Mau uprising, revolt between revolt or Kenya emergency was a war in the British. It wasn't a war. This was a genocide against the Kenyan people who wanted to freedom, the KLFA, Kenyan Liberation Front Army. You know, this was a war that they carried out genocide against people. They secured concentration camps and they tried to hide it from you. And you want to celebrate that. We need to be very, very careful about what we're celebrating. So let's carry on. Now, as decolonization progressed, British officials were keen to avoid a repeat of the embarrassment that had caused the overt burning of documents that took place in New Delhi in 1947, which had been covered by Indian news sources. On 3rd of May 1961, Ian MacLeod, who was the Secretary of State for the colonies, wrote a telegram to all British embassies to advise them on the best way to retrieve and dispose of sensitive documents to prevent post-colonial governments from ever learning about Operation Legacy. Officials were required to dispatch destruction certificates to London. In some cases, as the handover date approached, the immolation task proved so huge that colonial administrators warned the Foreign Office that there was a danger of celebrating Independence Day with smoke. Now, this is a. Let's read it more. Let me read it again. Academic study at the end of the British Empire has been assisted in recent years by this classification of migrated archives in the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. After the UK government admitted in 2011 that it had secret documents related to the Mau Mau uprising, it began to declassify documents, and by November 2013, some 20,000 files have been declassified. These documents can now be accessed at the National Archives in Kew Garden. I am saying all of this for those of you Africans. If you are supporting and you're getting engaged in the mourning of this, the passing of the what is effectively an oppressor, I kid you not. Europeans can mourn that, but we can. Oppression. They created an operation to secretly hide the atrocities they carried out against the people. Now you can now see that anything said called Commonwealth is a false. It's a falsehood. It is a falsehood. These are the documents. You are looking at it live, as I'm showing you now. When you get it broadcast, I want you to share it. You know, so these are the realities of why we talk about the need for us to not be part of this nonsense as Africans. It's up to them if they want to mourn, and they're doing that, and there's still days of this to come yet. But I personally, like I said, I've just shown you my connection. My own ancestral king was deposed. It was made into a vassal slave, a vassal king, a slave king to, a king of slaves in our own land. And there's no apology. They say regret. We're not interested in regret. You will need apology. We want everything stolen from us returned, and we will not relent. So I want us all to be very aware of that. So I'm in support of what Julius Malema said. And I'm not, I say this dispassionately. It's a fact. We must get reparations, and we will work on that. We have to continue, and our kids, our coming generation must be made aware of this fact. So when you get this broadcast, please share. What I'd like to do before I go is to do this. Please, I want you to go ahead and subscribe to Citizen AY on YouTube. So here we go. So subscribe to Citizen AY, click the red button, hit the notification button, give us the thumbs up, please, and help us You help us by sharing this broadcast. You help us reach more and more people, because many, far too many of us have been asleep. We're not aware of what has been done. Let me show you just a picture of the Queen, to give you an idea of why you need to be very, very careful about this. And these are facts. We're not telling lies here. Now let's get this picture out so you can see that for yourself, and you can be the judge, as it were, to a certain extent. Let's have a look. Oh no, that's another thing. I will be doing that. I'm going to come into that later on. That's something that I don't want to talk about that now, but I will show you and the significance of what I just showed you there just now. So let's see if I can find it. No, it's not there. Okay. Not that one. I don't want to do that just yet. Sorry. I really don't want to do that. But those are the kind of things that you'll be seeing anyway. We'll come back to that. But I wanted to show you, there's a picture, particular picture I'm trying to access, and I don't seem to be able to find it, unfortunately. It's a picture basically of the Queen dressed in full regalia and walking with there we go. Let's do this. I'll show you. Here we go. Yes, that's it. The picture speaks for itself. It shows the loot. It shows the loot, the loot by the British from indigenous people all over the world, including contraction Nigeria. You know, these are realities of what we faced. No, let me go back.
Earlier, I spoke to the.
Sorry, I don't want to do that now. So let me bring that back. I'll bring that back. I just wanted to just show you that picture. I'll come back and talk about that other one in more detail later on. Right now, suffice to say, you can see there's more information that we need to talk about and bring to our attention, because what is going on is clearly not acceptable. Yeah, fine. The family can remember them and all that, but we should not. Unless we know our history, we will partake in and what will be happening is, when you are mourning, they are saying it's like you're giving power. So you're giving them the power to go ahead and continue to oppress and suppress us in our own land. And that's why we have no development, because these guys our resources have been taken by the bucket load. Like I showed you in that picture. Let me see if I can pick it up again. Let me see if I can pick that picture up again. I want you to just see that thing, the picture again. And that is the one I just want us to really look at, to understand. And, I don't want to just, I'll come back and talk about things. So look at that. It says here. So they stole things from South Africa, India, Egypt, Kenya, Nigeria, Barbados, Australia, Fiji, all over, looted stuff. And that's the reality. This is being factual at every point. You can go and check what we're saying. This is being factual. So when we're saying this, and you can see, contract from Nigeria, so we have to really be very, very careful about what we're mourning here. When you're mourning, that means that you're giving them power to continue to oppress and suppress us in our own land. We're not wanting to come to UK and suppress and oppress anybody. No. This is done. What was done to us was by the monarchs, and they won't even say sorry. But they want us to mourn for them. And we need to be very aware of that. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Citizen Network, the platform where we speak truth to power. Now, let me just remind you before we go again, please just do one thing for us in all of this. All we ask of you to do is to go ahead, subscribe to Citizen Network on YouTube, hit notification button, give us a thumbs up. What are your thoughts on what we just discussed? What are your thoughts? Looking at the picture that you see in the picture here, that's the stolen. Everything you see. You see, South Africa, it's got the names, everything is pointed out. Everywhere it's been stolen. Stolen, stolen, stolen. There are things that's been stolen from Nigeria, from everywhere. There are things from Barbados, from Egypt, everything. Stolen, stolen, stolen. We can't continue. We shouldn't be mourning such thing. We shouldn't. We should step away from it and focus on getting our freedom. And again, I want to reiterate, we should remember the name of all the kings, their pictures and names, their family and everything across the whole of Africa when the Berlin Conference took place. We need to have monuments for each and every one of those kings. Monuments. By putting the monuments up, we're taking back Africa. That is us putting back our landmark, African landmark on Africa. And that's what we need to do. They've removed all of them. We have to remember every single king. That is what we need to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Season A, the platform where we speak truth to power. And of course, you all know we are working towards the agitation Yoruba for Yoruba Nation, our right to self-determination, and Biafra, and Middle Belt, because the monarchy were the ones who imposed, and the monarchy and the British government were the ones who imposed Nigeria on us. Nigeria is not it's nothing to do with my ancestors. This is a British construct, and we have to dismantle it. It's oppressing us every single day. Many of us who are abroad were abroad because of that contraption being on the land of our ancestors, and we need to return back to Yoruba. It has to be a Yoruba nation, Biafra, and Middle Belt. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Season A, the platform where we speak truth to power. And just one more thing before I go, please, when you get this broadcast, I urge you, please subscribe to Season A, hit notification button, and finally give us a thumbs up. Thank you for watching. I'll be doing small programs like this. I'm not fully there yet, but I'm trying to do what I can. I hope you find this informative. What are your thoughts? Please leave your comments, and above all, share. Let's have a real discussion about this. Leave comments and, of course, share. Thank you for watching. You're watching Season A, the platform where we speak truth to power. Thank you for now. Thank you, and I'll be back later on. Thank you and goodbye. Bye.